has gone rancid. And I would recommend that you actually keep whole flaxseed in your refrigerator or in your freezer, and buy a little coffee grinder that you can get at the store for 12 or 15 bucks, and just grind as much as you need it. It's an easy way to do it. Oh gosh, I'm really condensing today. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. I want to talk a little bit about this, and then I would like to open it up for questions as well. And that is some of the challenges to a vegan lifestyle, because it's very important that everybody know up front. You can probably think of some in your own minds. Now, in my personal opinion, any of the challenges to a vegan lifestyle are absolutely minuscule compared to the benefits. But it is important that everybody know the biggest challenge, the biggest single challenge to a vegan lifestyle is family and friends. How sad. How sad when you, the Terry Lees of the world, the Natasha Lantz's, the Mary Lantz's of the world, say, you know what, I'm taking charge of my health. Look at me, I feel great, I look great, and I am taking charge. And people will belittle that and say, oh, well you can't eat that, and you go on and on. Wow, well how supportive could that family member be, or that friend? We have to understand where that's coming from. There is some amount of guilt involved in that. There is some amount of, I know that he or she is on the right track and I really should be doing that, and I'm mad at myself, so I'm not going to get mad at myself, I'm going to get mad at that person. So that's where a lot of that comes from. Another thing is, especially, and I've seen this happen many times, is that people get very excited when they get healthy and they learn this whole new world is out there, and then they want to proselytize to everybody. So they're sitting at the table saying, you can eat that. Oh, I wouldn't eat that. Do you know what's in there? I mean, that's not a good way to make friends or influence people. So when you are following a vegan lifestyle and you're immersed in that, the best way is just simply to make some darn good food. Whenever you're invited over to someone's house, say, do you mind if I bring something with me? And then you bring a food that you can eat so it doesn't put pressure on that other person. Then you find that everyone's curious, oh, what is that? I'd like to try it. They then love it. It opens up the conversation to be able to say, well, this is why I'm doing it. Please understand I'm not judging anybody here, but I feel great and I want to keep doing this. So it is friends and family. I've seen it before with grandmas, especially grandmas. Grandmas who make the most amazing cookies or banana bread, or it could be lasagna, and they've made that for years for you. And you come home one day and say, oh, great, I'm following a vegan lifestyle, I've really changed things, and I can't eat that anymore. So the only thing that grandma hears is, you don't love me anymore, or, wow, that's always been your favorite. You think you're too good for everybody now? I mean, it's hard. That's hard. That's a really difficult thing. So when you're following a vegan lifestyle, it's very important that you be knowledgeable about why you're doing it. The Terry Lees of the world, where you read and you know, and so you can answer those questions so you don't seem like a quack. So you don't seem like someone that's going off half-baked and going out there and just saying, oh yeah, this is great. So again, if you are one of those family members and you do have someone in your life who has decided to follow a vegan lifestyle, you don't have to embrace it, but at least support that other person in their path to personal wellness and to health. And over time, some of that might rub off on you, and you might start to enjoy that little by little by little. So those are very, very important. And it's also the kind of thing, well, what do you do when you travel? Oh my gosh, I live in Crystal Falls. What would I ever order off of a menu here that would be vegan? Well, I can tell you that over time, things are changing. I know that I live in Marquette, and there might be a wider range of things available, but I travel all over the UP and all over the country. And what you can find is that you can look at a menu and say, okay, there might not be something on here specifically that I can order, but what if I ask my waitress, what's the vegetable of the day? Oh, does that have butter on it? No, it's made with olive oil and sea salt? Great. Could I have a larger helping of the vegetables today? I'd love a tossed salad. That would be great. See, you have one on the menu here? Could you hold the cheese for me, please? And do you have any nuts or anything in the back? Could you throw those on there? The more people who do that in a restaurant setting, then they're going to start to offer and to start to cater to that. Now, we've seen that in the Marquette area, where the choices for vegan were pretty limited as well. And over time, we've gone in and met with the restaurant owners, We've also continually asked servers, hey, can you do this? And then over time, they think, wow, we now have a couple restaurants that have a separate vegan menu. And what those restaurant owners have found is that their business shot up. Because here's why. Vegans love food, and they will travel many, many miles to get things that they can eat and good food. So I am telling you that when I travel, and I do a lot, I always get on the internet before I go. And I type in the word vegan. There's a website called happycow.net. You go to happycow.net, and it gives you a plethora of choices, from food co-ops to delis to sit-down restaurants to food carts in big cities. And then you think, oh, cool, I've got 5 choices where I'm going here, and then you pick one. And then you make that your destination location. So again, whether you're in a small town or a big city, you can make change, and you can also not make a big deal of it. So your girlfriends or guy friends are getting together for something at the local diner, don't make a huge deal out of it. Just go in and order something and talk to the waitress or waiter, or even call ahead. I've done that before. Call ahead. If you don't want to make a scene and you don't want to be standing there quizzing your waitress, you can just say, can you tell me a little bit about your menu? Because a lot of menus are even online, or you can stop by if it's local and grab it, and just ask questions about it beforehand. Then you'll know what to order when you get there. And I'll always take food with me. I always pack food with me. So no matter where I go, people like to travel with me. They'll think, oh yeah, we'll never starve with her. She knows exactly where we're going to eat, and she's got food in the trunk, the back seat, and everywhere else. But again, if you do that, you're packing things like fresh fruit, cut up vegetables. I don't know if any of you have heard of hummus, but hummus dips, wonderful, it's a bean dip. Those kinds of things, I just bring them with me. And then if I'm somewhere where I'm like, okay, we're going to be going to this baby shower, and there's not going to be anything that I really feel like I can eat there, I'll eat before I go in. And then I go in and I socialize and I have a great time. You know, I just let people know and say, oh, you know what, I already ate before I came, no big deal. But again, you have to think ahead, and it's like riding a bike. It will become second nature over time. Another thing that we didn't talk about, 2 things. One is cravings, and the other one is cheese. I need to grab my stuff. This wonderful water made right here. Well, I must say that it does taste pretty excellent. And I hear this one's from New York, or goes to New York. Wow. Cravings. Now, the reason that we crave things like Doritos, I don't know about you, but I really like Doritos. What about, Little Debbie Swiss rolls, or like any of that kind of stuff? I mean, think about those foods. Think about something like that you really, really like. Like if you were to go in the gas station on a trip when you're traveling, and you're like, oh, yeah, I really like that. Think about it. Y'all have a favorite thing that when you do your grocery shopping once a week or twice a week that you just kind of put in the cart and you're like, yeah, that's my special thing. Food cravings. There is a reason that you crave those foods. And it's not you, it's not your lack of willpower, but there are billions of dollars being spent out there to get you to eat that food. Billions of dollars. If any of you have ever read Fast Food Nation, if you haven't, you should do it. Fast Food Nation was written by Eric Schlosser. Schlosser. He is an undercover investigative reporter. And what he did is he went in and learned about the fast food industry. But he wrote a chapter in his book, and it is called The Flavor Corridor, the flavor industry. I thought, wow, I thought I was pretty educated about food. But when I read about this, it blew my mind. And wow. What it talks about is there is a place in New Jersey nicknamed the Flavor Corridor. And what happens there is that is where things like floor cleaner, floor wax, the perfume smells like Estee Lauder, deodorants, all of that, the smells for that is where they're made. Those are the same factories that make the natural flavors, colorings, and tastes and smells of our food. Those same exact companies. So he went in and asked for tours, which they wouldn't show him certain places because it's proprietary information. But he said, when I walked in to this building, he said it was like nothing I'd ever seen. There were test kitchens everywhere. You smelled pizza baking, and you smelled popcorn, and you smelled candy and cookies. And he said it was like you were going home and you were just smelling something that someone's making in the kitchen. And all over are people in white lab coats. And what they're doing is they're making test food, and they're testing out all these chemicals to see how they taste, how the mouthfeel is, what the aroma is, because taste and smell are so linked. So he said, they took me into this room, they sat me down on a chair, and they blindfolded me, and the chemist, the people with high-level degrees, said, okay, Eric, I'm going to put something in front of your nose, smell deeply, and tell me what food this is. So he did. The person did. He said, oh, it's a Big Mac. He said, well, I could just reach right out and I could grab that and eat it. Well, the guy took off his blindfold, and the only thing that he had in his hand was a test tube. And it absolutely smelled like a Big Mac. And there's a reason. Because Big Macs just don't smell like that. That is a smell and also tastes that are created in a lab. And the reason that they're created in a lab is because if Terry Lee wants French fries from McDonald's or chicken flavoring, and she decides, I'm going to go see my Aunt Fran down in Alabama, and I love the French fries they have at McDonald's in Marquette, and I'm going to go see Aunt Fran in Alabama, and we're going to go down there to McDonald's. You want to know that they taste exactly the same because it's something you really like. So when you go in, you're expecting that exact same thing. But for those of you who cook, you might have a favorite recipe, but it's going to turn out a little bit different every single time you make it, based on the ingredients, based on if you forgot to put something in it. I mean, whatever it might be, but it's going to have variant. But not fast food, and not your Ritz crackers, and not your McDonald's Big Mac. They're always the same. The reason they're always the same is because they're so highly processed that they taste like cardboard. So in the lab, they create the smells, the tastes, so it's absolutely the same every time. They are building brand loyalty in us, and we're buying it hook, line, and sinker. Because I'll bet you right now that I could ask any one of you, what's your favorite fast food restaurant? What's your favorite thing there? And you probably crave it, you know? When you've had a bad day, or when you think, I'm going to go out today, you know what you're going to order before you ever get there because it's your favorite thing and you do it every time. I'm telling you this because there's science, there's money, and there's lots of pressure out there getting us to eat unhealthy foods because there's a lot of profit in unhealthy foods. There are very few people like myself out there going, asparagus, isn't it tasty? And kale, all of you should eat some. I mean, I just don't have that kind of clout. So I'm not going to be able to sell it except to a room full of people, a little at a time, and then you do the same thing. So I don't have a powerful lobby behind me with millions of dollars. So just know that I understand that it is difficult when we're so acclimated to those kinds of tastes. And when it comes to cheese, this is what I hear over and over, and I can honestly say I've said it myself. Vegetarian for years, people would say, well, what about vegan? Vegan? They're kind of weird, and not only that, but I could never. I can remember on 3 occasions, specifically, where I said to someone, I could never be vegan, I love cheese. I was the person who would take a block, not a thing, a block of cheese to work with me, and shave off pieces as I was eating my yogurt. Okay, so, I mean, I love dairy, I love cheese. But after about 2 weeks of not having it, and I did crave it during those 2 weeks, you get the craving out of your body and you don't want it anymore. What it becomes is, oh, how am I going to have pizza without cheese because I really like pizza? And then it's like, well, I can either have a cheeseless pizza or there are some good substitutes out there, and then that's just fine. So just know that I understand how difficult the cheese and dairy connection is to give up, but it's not just about meat that we're talking here. Because when it comes to cholesterol and when it comes to fat, there isn't any difference between meat and dairy. So if you cut out just meat, what you're going to do is you're going to ramp up your dairy consumption because everything you used to eat meat with or for, you're going to substitute cheese. So again, if you have one book, not even one, I'm going to recommend a couple. If there are really important books that I would want you to read if you want to learn more, and the cool thing is that these are door prizes. There is Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease by Caldwell Esselstyn. Amazing man, amazing book. He is also featured in this documentary that came out last year. We showed this in Marquette, and we rented a little theater at the Ishpeming Theater, and we had to actually get another one that night and open another theater. I had to go in and introduce it in one room and say, hold for just a second, and run into the next one. because there were so many people. But this is an incredible film that brings all the things that I'm saying today together, and this is great. The other one is the China study. I can just tell you one thing. My father, bless his heart, I love him to death. My mom will tell you. He is a man who is very opinionated, and he's not afraid to share his opinions. He's a very loving father, and I adore him, and he's taught me many things in my life. But when I turned vegetarian at 14, I think the teenage boy in him just came out. Because he would, every time I sat down at the table, "Are you going to have a bite of that hamburger? Oh, aren't you going to have any of that?" And every time, for years and years and years, "Dad, this isn't a fad. It's not something that's going away." And he would just continually say, "Aren't you going to have meat? When are you going to eat fish?" All of that. I said, "Dad," he's a real avid reader, "why don't you read the China Study? It's a really cool book. I just read it and I really like it." He voraciously reads anything. "You read this?" And the author, T. Coleman Campbell, spoke down in the Ann Arbor area, and I invited Mom and Dad to go with me. Right after my dad had read this book, he read the book. Very next day,